out against someone who tried to silence you. I joined the youth speech team at church when I was 12 because I thought it would help me stop disappearing. I was quiet, and I figured learning how to speak with confidence might make people finally take me seriously. That's when I met Coach Darren. He was in his 30s, married, and always surrounded by people. Parents loved him because he was enthusiastic and organized, and the girls on the team hung on his every word. He noticed me early on and told me I had real potential. I was flattered, even proud. No one had ever said that about me before. It started with compliments like those. Then extra one-on-one coaching after practice, where he'd help me refine my body language and speech patterns. He'd adjust how I stood or place a hand lightly on my back to demonstrate posture. His hands would linger too long. He'd touch my waist under the guise of correcting my balance. He started telling me to keep our sessions private so I could surprise the team with my progress. One day, he asked me to close my eyes while I practiced. He said it would help me concentrate on the rhythm of my words. I stood there, speech half memorized, feeling exposed in the quiet room, and then I felt his lips on mine. I didn't move. I didn't react. My brain just shut down. I remember the sound of the air vent kicking on overhead and the distant murmur of someone walking past the hallway. I remember how far away my own body felt. And when it was over, he acted like it hadn't even happened. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even understand what to call it. Anytime I hesitated or backed off, he'd remind me how much he'd done for me and how ungrateful I sounded. When I tried to leave the team, he told me I'd ruin his life over something I didn't understand, that no one would believe me, and if they did, it would destroy everything for him, for me, for everyone involved. So I quit, quietly. I told my parents I didn't like public speaking anymore. I stopped entering competitions, stopped volunteering to read aloud in class, stopped raising my hand. I told myself to move on, and for a long time, I thought maybe I had. I convinced myself it hadn't been that serious. 12 years later, I was working for a nonprofit that helped teens build confidence through public speaking. The irony of that wasn't lost on me, but I loved the work. Helping kids find their voices gave me a sense of peace I hadn't expected. Then one day during a team meeting, someone mentioned a new workshop leader we were bringing in for an upcoming youth event, Darren Caldwell. He was still working with kids, still going by coach. I felt something cold settle in my stomach, but this time I didn't freeze. I didn't tell anyone what happened, and I didn't try to stop him from coming. I signed up to be the keynote speaker at our annual fundraiser instead. Over 600 people would be there, including Darren himself, who I knew would be sitting front and center. When I stepped onto the stage, I didn't look at him. I looked at the students in the audience and said, when I was 12, I had a coach who told me I had a voice, then made sure I never wanted to use it again. I told the story in full. Not his name, but every detail. I told them how abuse can sound like praise and how shame doesn't always come with bruises. I said it out loud, clearly and calmly, and when I finished, there was a long pause before anyone clapped. I didn't stick around for the applause. I stepped off the stage, walked past his table, and left the room. By the next morning, 3 different women had emailed our office. They had their own stories about Darren. One had been on his team at another church, another in a school program he led. One had reported him years ago and been told she must have misunderstood. They all used the same words I had: private coaching, special attention, uncomfortable, confusing, shame. We forwarded their statements to the board. Within 48 hours, he was removed from the workshop. The church where he still volunteered temporarily suspended his role, and the local school district pulled his coaching contract before the week was over. A reporter from a local paper wrote an article about my speech, quoted my story, and within hours, more messages came in. Women posted anonymous accounts. A few named him directly. Someone uploaded an old team photo with his arm around a dozen different girls, and the comments exploded. By the end of the month, he had been dropped from every organization he worked with. His wife filed for divorce before the year was out. One of his daughters posted a video quoting my speech and captioned it, "I believe you." His reputation didn't just collapse, it unraveled in slow motion, with every voice he once tried to silence now rising, louder than he could ever be. And for the first time since I was 12, I didn't feel quiet anymore.